Can you imagine a world where Neanderthals vanish due to their own behavior? Researchers now believe that cannibalism might have led to their extinction. Let's explore the intriguing hypothesis, analyze the evidence, and see how computer models reveal the impact of this practice. Let's uncover the startling truth about Neanderthal extinction. So, who are Neanderthals? Homo neanderthalensis is one of the most mysterious of the early human species. After hundreds of thousands of years, their prehistoric cousins thrived in Europe, until going extinct when modern humans arrived. Where they came from and why they disappeared are still mysterious to us. Finding out more about them is essential. Let's investigate the Neanderthal legend. Certain scholars contend that Neanderthals possessed cognitive and behavioral abilities comparable to those of early humans. They imply that it may not be correct to categorize Neanderthals as inferior. Rather, cognitive differences between the two groups may have been developed by natural selection. Supporters of this idea overlook differences in skull shape between Neanderthals and early humans, which could affect how they thought and behaved. They also downplay the evidence of behavioral differences found in ancient artifacts. After thriving in Europe for over 100,000 years, Neanderthals suddenly disappeared about 30 to 40,000 years ago, around the time modern humans arrived. Experts debate whether competition with early humans, changes in climate during the Ice Age, or both factors led to their extinction. Some scientists suggest that Neanderthals resorted to cannibalism during times of environmental or population stress. This behavior, while beneficial in harsh conditions, became detrimental when they had to compete with another species for resources, possibly contributing to their extinction. To test this idea, researchers used a computer simulation. The model simplifies Neanderthal traits and behaviors without replicating their exact environment or culture. It simulates groups of individuals as agents, with defined home ranges with factors like cannibalism and division chances. The simulation results indicate that cannibalism was favored when resources were scarce and clustered. However, when a non-cannibalistic species was introduced into the same environment, the cannibalistic species retreated. The new species thrived until it reached the system's capacity. Surviving cannibalistic populations were pushed to less favorable areas, similar to what might have happened to Neanderthals towards the end. This suggests that competition with other species could have played a role in their decline. Homo heidelbergensis, living in Europe and Africa around 800,000 years ago, gave rise to future human subspecies like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. Geneticists believe these groups diverged around 588,000 years ago from a common ancestor in Africa or nearby. Homo sapiens evolved with gracile skeletons, tall and slender for running and heat dissipation. Neanderthals had sturdy, short skeletons adapted for heat retention. Neanderthals thrived independently in Western Europe and Asia until their extinction around 30,000 years ago, attributed to factors like climate change, competition with Homo sapiens, and chance. The arrival of modern Homo sapiens in Europe coincided with Neanderthal extinction, though evidence of direct conflict is scarce, leading some to view it as a coincidence. Anthropologists debate whether Neanderthal and modern human brains and behaviors were identical. Many suggest competition for resources driven by slight cognitive differences contributed to Neanderthal extinction. Spanish anthropologists simulated Neanderthal extinction using a virtual experiment, including cannibalism for resource acquisition, group size, location, and likelihood of group division. Their model, based on game theory, suggests cannibalism could have been a strategy to secure resources, distinguishing between endocannibalism within a group and exocannibalism between groups. Endocannibalism occurs when a group consumes its own members, often for surviving during times of starvation or for ritualistic reasons after someone passes away. Exocannibalism, on the other hand, involves consuming members of other groups to reduce competition for resources, for intimidation, or for symbolic reasons. In environments with scarce resources, cannibalism can become advantageous, particularly in harsh conditions like extreme cold. Spanish anthropologists simulated scenarios involving cannibalistic and non-cannibalistic human groups. They found that cannibalistic societies tended to inhabit less resource-rich areas, such as deserts or remote locations, and were often not sustainable in the long term. Their findings align closely with the circumstances believed to have led to the extinction of Neanderthals. Their model suggests that while cannibalism might benefit some individuals, it can be detrimental to the survival of the species as a whole. Anthropologists studied 99 Neanderthal skeletons found in a Belgian cave dating back 45,000 to 40,000 years. They found clear evidence of cannibalism and the use of Neanderthal bones to sharpen tools. About 1/3 of the bones had cut marks, notches, and pits. Examining 6 more Neanderthal cannibalism cases from 120 to 39,000 years ago shows Neanderthals often ate other Neanderthals. Animal bones were also present and processed for marrow, with similar cuts on both Neanderthal and animal bones. Neanderthals ate vegetables and other non-meat foods, showing that they had varied diets. Some may have used cannibalism to secure resources and reduce competition about 120,000 years ago. This might have led to a long history of cannibalism, with some Neanderthals enjoying the taste of Neanderthal meat. It's unlikely each Neanderthal group independently started cannibalism over 80,000 years. It was probably a tradition passed down through generations. But why did they do this? One idea is that Neanderthals had smaller olfactory bulbs than modern humans, which might have affected their ability to smell different odors, including the smell of burning human flesh, which is known to be very unpleasant. The mystery of why Neanderthals disappeared raises many questions about brain differences, the role of the scent in evolution, and whether humans might eventually be replaced. The skeleton of a Neanderthal called the Apple Auxiliary Saint skeleton shows that Neanderthals had stressful lives with many injuries and physical problems. The skeleton had lost most of its cheek teeth, had jaw problems, ear inflammation, serious arthritis in one shoulder, severe neck arthritis, a damaged hip, and a healed rib fracture. Despite these issues, this Neanderthal survived into his 30s, indicating physical strength and a supportive social network that cared for injured members. The skeleton also provided evidence that Neanderthals practiced mortuary rituals, as it was intentionally buried in a pit in a small cave. However, Neanderthals often had relationships with their own family. In one case, a Neanderthal woman had parents who were closely related, such as half-siblings or an uncle and niece. While some findings suggest inbreeding in one Siberian population located far from the main Neanderthal communities in Europe, it doesn't necessarily reflect typical behavior for the entire species. It's crucial to understand how these mating practices may have affected Neanderthals over time, especially as inbreeding has been known to impact health and even contribute to the decline of royal dynasties. In Europe, evidence suggests that Neanderthals from El Cidrón in Spain practiced inbreeding. Archaeologists have uncovered over 2,500 bone fragments at this site, representing at least 13 individuals of various ages and both sexes. These Neanderthals, who lived together around 50,000 years ago, are thought to have been a closely related group. Aside from signs of cannibalism found among them, the remains also show congenital anomalies like cleft or asymmetrical vertebrae, a misshapen kneecap, and a retained baby tooth into adulthood. While these conditions are rare in modern humans, occurring in about 3.8 to 0.00004% of cases, they are more common in populations that practice inbreeding, suggesting that these Neanderthals were likely closely related in their familial connections. And now we'd like to hear from you. What were you most surprised by learning about Neanderthals? And also hit like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more.